remember her? She was there for like what 30 days.
Not even. I
Really?
think she got voted in. She was at she came to this executive session and she wasn't at the next month. I didn't see her.
Yeah,
She
right.
was
She's
done
only
after that.
one. She's like, it's too much. He said he was sticking to it because he said Jamie was like, so you told them that this is board, pending board approval. She right, and he said no, I did not. Hmm. She trying to backpedal now because of that. Hmm. Mm. She trying to backpedal on his early. Hmm.
Hey Eddie, how are you? Good. Hey, I don't know what's going on with my video.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even though you did, but I needed to hear it for a
Test.
second.
Eddie, can you hear me?
Multiple people.
Yeah, because I'm unsure about it.
Uh-huh.
See, and then her. She I
Hi,
ain't
Mrs. Everhart.
I
Hi,
ain't
Mrs. Golden.
never
How are you?
somebody like you.
I'm well. How are you?
I'm
Doing great.
that.
Eddie,
He
I
said,
don't know if it's just me, but I'm having a hard time hearing you.
I can't
And
stand y'all.
I said, Brink said you got
Who can't?
she got cankled. Oh, I'm looking back at that picture. I said, Terry, stop it, stop it. She was making me laugh. That's all.
Well, this girl,
Can't hear
he
you.
should have known she would be up underneath this kind of scrutiny. Well,
No, because
she probably
That's not
already,
good. What about now?
he
I
knew.
can hear
Yeah,
you.
even her dress.
All right.
She
Whew.
my video's not showing up.
I'm noticing that.
Brink took a picture and asked her not to show me. And he said, well, you
We
look good.
This is
have
the way he was dressed.
No, she said, and he looked
a
good.
couple of guests that I don't recognize. There's someone on as Marcus's iPhone. If you wouldn't mind unmuting yourself and just letting me know your last name, I'm happy to rename you.
It was so funny, but
Hi, my name is Marcus Erbendinger. Erbendinger.
Yes, sir. I'm going to ask you to do that for me one more time. ER.
Beldinger.
Yes, sir.
Erbendinger.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome. Bye.
Eddie,
Yes, sir.
I can't change
I
my name on my phone, so can you add my last name, please?
I certainly can, Mr.
I'm on.
Gigliotti.
I'm on twice because
I
I can't
see
see it
that.
on. Yeah, I can see it better on my computer, but I need to speak through my phone. So
Not a problem at all, sir.
Eddie,
thank
I'm
you.
gonna Eddie, I'm gonna try to log on through my cell phone since I don't know what's going on with my video on my laptop.
Not a problem at all, Miss Golden.
Thank you.
Eh, oh, okay. I made Eddie co-host and Steve. Yes. Because somebody called before.
Yes.
I'm serious. I'm waiting.
In California? Don't they have San Diego Chargers? Oh, Los Angeles Rams? Yeah.
Ms. Hawthorne, I noticed that I'm not able to make people co-hosts. I'm assuming that's because I'm not
Oh, wait a minute.
the host.
I'm saying-
Any chance that you could either make the board members co-hosts or give me host capabilities? Thank you.
All right, you are. He's the host now. Eddie. He's not allowing participants to unmute themselves.
Mr. Wilson, I'm going to go ahead and not admit people. I'll leave that to you or to one of the other hosts to do that.
Absolutely, Ms. Glasser. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yep.
Hold on. He needs to unmute me. And we can't even. Wait. Reclaim host. I'm a reclaim host.
Mr. Harris, I see that you were trying to send me some type of a written message. Hope all is well. You should be able to unmute yourself. You're co-host now.
Thank you. That was my encrypted notes thing. Unmute me.
I assumed that's what it was, sir. I'm working as fast as I can work.
Can I unmute Teresa?
You should be able to do all of those things.
Here. Okay.
Okay.
No, it says the host.
Mr. Harris, your mic is bad again.
Okay. Let me turn it down.
Okay, there you are. What about now? How's it now?
Still pretty choppy, sir.
Steve? Am I talking to the mic on the desk or the computer? They said they can't really understand me. So am I talking to the mic, that mic, or the computer mic? That could be through the desktop mic. This thing? This? Can you hear me better now?
Yes, that's better.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I'm better now.
It's a little bit better. It's still got a little bit of a chop to it.
Okay. This fancy mic. What about now? Can you hear me now better? Better now?
It still sounds a little bit broken up.
It says my internet connection is unstable.
Yeah, that's probably why.
So let's see. How about now? How's this?
Sounds better.
Seems better.
I see Jamie's eyes are blinking. Let me tell them that.
Still waiting on a couple of board members. I apologize for the delay.
I can't. I'm unable to unmute myself.
Oh, okay, there's. Okay. I saw Ms. Lawson joined. I saw Mr. Belmont joined.
Okay, I guess I didn't get my little signal.
Okay. believe we're still waiting on one more.
Yeah. Oh, the shit that you were saying. I was about to snap.
I see you.
Unmute me too, please.
Come here.
So how's the sound now?
Worse.
Worse?
Yeah, it's really chopped up now.
Yeah, but you might have to unplug the cable.
Okay. Okay, so how about now?
Marginally better.
Is it? What do you want me to do? I hear it behind me.
I can hear you back now.
So how about now? Any better?
It's not the volume. It's that you're like breaking up and lagging.
What do you want to do?
I mean, we can go ahead. I believe we're all here now, so we can go ahead and get started.
Can you
I'll have an extra network cable.
Okay. Mr. Harris, I think we're all here. We can go ahead and get started.
Okay.
Okay. Mr. Harris, I think we're all here.
Tim on the cable.
Ready?
I think we are.
Mr. Graves?
I haven't called it to order yet, Miss Hawthorne. Give me 1 second.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. But I'm going to do that now. So, good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. Apologies for our technical issues and delay. But I'm calling to order this agenda-setting meeting for the month of November 2020 for the Woodland Hills School Board. Ms. Hawthorne, please call the roll.
can't unmute?
Okay, I got it. Mr. Graves? Miss Seligson?
I don't.
I can't hear. Okay. Miss Lawson?
Present. I couldn't unmute.
Miss Curry?
Here.
Mr. Belmont? Miss Scott?
Here.
Miss Hodge?
Here.
Mr. Patterson?
Present.
Miss Seligson?
Ms. Harrison? Ms. Seligson?
Mr. Belmont?
Mr. Belmont?
I just got a text from Mr. Belmont that he's struggling to unmute. Let me unmute him, Miss Lawson, or Miss Hawthorne.
I'm here.
That was Ms. Lawson. Thank you.
Yep, that was Miss Lawson. Mr. Belmont, I see you as unmuted already. You should be able to speak, sir.
Miss Glasser?
Present. It looks to me as if Mr. Belmont has no audio connection, so that may be the issue. While we're dealing with that, we'll note that he's present and communicative. But let's move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand and remain standing for a moment of silence following. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we acknowledge a moment, as we use a moment of silence to acknowledge the passing of Micah Graham, a student at Woodland Hills High School. And also note that it is Veterans Day. Thank you for all who have served and who died in service of our country. For those two purposes, please observe a moment of silence. Thank you. Okay. Next week, we will accept the minutes from the legislative and agenda setting meetings in October. Are there any additions, corrections, questions on the minutes at this time? Okay. Hearing none. The board met in executive session immediately preceding this meeting to discuss legal, personnel, and school safety matters as permitted by law. Mr. Harris, do you have announcements? As permitted by law.
Just one. Remember, students and families, parents, we are still 100% virtual. So please make sure your children sign on every day to do the work that the teachers are presenting on a virtual platform. So please make sure that they consistently log in every day. If you have any technical problems, please contact the school. The teacher is your main point of contact. If you cannot get through to the teacher, contact the principal. If not, then call my office. But remember, we are still in school, still learning every day. So please, please, please sign in and participate every day. That is all.
Thank you for that. We do have with us tonight, I believe, our student speakers. Mr. Harris, before we get to them, there is a significant lag that I'm hearing from the boardroom. So I don't know if there's something that Steve can do about that, but that would be appreciated. It's a little bit distracting.
We have no different.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll let you guys work on that while we hear from our student speakers. I know that we have two groups this evening. I believe we have our students of the month from last month, and our climate action students. So let's hear from the students of the month first. Who wishes to speak first?
Okay, now I'm on. Hi, I'm Sasha. I'm a student at Woodland Hills High School. I'm currently a senior. I am September Student of the Month, along with Quahim Williams, who couldn't make it tonight. So in his place will be speaking Desmond Jackson and Henry Hill. We wanted to announce that October Students of the Month are Maya Beckley and Keisha Thompson. Desmond, do you want to take it away?
1 second, Desmond. I think I have to unmute you. You should be good now, sir.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Desmond Jackson, and just wanted to talk about the recent events that, some of the students at Woodland Hills, there's been going through a lot of grief lately. With Micah Graham, the basketball player and student at Woodland Hills that recently passed away. I did not know him personally, but through other people that did know him, certain people like my teammates and other friends at Woodland Hills, there has been a lot of, I want to say, depression and things going on of that nature. We thank you. First of all, we want to thank you guys for actually getting involved, having support systems and opportunities to speak to counselors. So we are grateful for that. We do want to actually touch on something though, as schools are most likely staying closed. We don't know the future of that. And students start to get distracted a little bit more from where they should be and what they should be doing, and ending up in the wrong places at the wrong times. We wanted to maybe see if there was any way that we could have a more broader intervention in that, in which there was some place for them to go either after they're done with school or sport, maybe somewhere they can go do their homework, just so that they have a sense of some place to be instead of just being out here. Again, I want to thank you guys regardless for hearing me on that matter. So.
And then that takes us to our Kindness Day event on Friday. The Student Council and FBLA will be participating in Kindness Day activities all of Friday. There's going to be a Zoom meeting with county officials to kick it off, and then students will then go into their neighborhoods and spread kindness, leaving kind cards and personalized post-its, notes, messages on people's doors. This is sponsored by the Kaylee McDowell Foundation. Desmond, again to you.
Can we unmute Mr. Jackson, please, Mr. Wilson?
Yes, ma'am. I just got to him. Desmond, you should be able to unmute yourself now.
Give me one second, I apologize. Yes, we're talking about, Sasha, forgive me, we're talking about the Peters Township situation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Yes, regarding the Peters Township game, that was a very emotional night for a lot of us. Something that we, I'm sorry. It's something that it's getting resolved right now. We are happy that we were able to get in touch with the Peters Township School Board. I do want to say, though, on behalf of myself and the student body at the Woodland Hills School District, we were not pleased with how, like, we felt that in a way it was kind of swept under the rug. And that there wasn't going to be a conversation on it other than that it made the news. And that was the end of it. As of right now, I've been having discussions with students in the BSU. We are planning on actually having a conversation with Peters Township. I myself have working on Google Slides to basically educate them on blackface and what it means and what it's been portrayed as and other things that have tied into it. And then added on to that, we are trying to have it as a test run for something we are trying to create in the future with an alumni, Micah Dean, I think is her last name. She is trying to start a student summit up called Let's Talk. And we are trying to get other students from other school districts to join us and hopefully shoot it for February. I just wanted to preview that. What the summit would be on is about race issues and just trying to educate everyone on things that are going on in America and why they're happening and are going to continue to happen, until we speak on it. So thank you.
Yeah, I think us being students of Woodland Hills, we have quite a different experience than other high school students in our area. We are like emerged in a super diverse environment, and we get to learn from each other. And I think it's a unique experience to us. And I think having these summits or hosting these kinds of things will help bring awareness to other school districts that they aren't able to have, and maybe lessen these incidents that we keep having year after year. Transition from that, we have a few announcements of what's been going on at the high school. The student groups of NHS and Performing Arts were able to participate in 6 Feet or Trick or Treat. The FBLA is currently planning a Stuff-A-Bus to kick off a toy drive to help with the community. Henry, do you want to take it away?
Henry, we'll have to unmute you. I'm trying to find you now, sir.
Help. Help me, nigga.
I don't.
Mr. Wilson, I can get him.
That'd be great.
Hi there.
Oh, there he is. Thank you. I couldn't find him.
So the Stuff-A-Bus, the Future Business Leaders of America at the high school is preparing to kick off a toy drive to stuff a bus, quite literally. More details are coming. Nothing is, as far as I know, nothing is very finalized as of right now. So that is where that stands right now.
Okay.
The student council is currently organizing a COVID care collection for people in our community who may not have access to PPE, hand sanitizer, cleaning supplies, all things to help when these, because we do know that these next few months are going to be harder, to help out people in our community. And then lastly, one thing we wanted to talk about is our personal experiences with going virtual. Henry, I think you were going to go first, if you can be unmuted again.
Yes, yeah. So I'd like to start out with just thanking our teachers and our staff and everyone who's making this school year happen and run smoothly. I think the process of the virtual learning environment, I guess, I personally have some issues with, and I know people I've talked to also have issues, the same issues, just when it comes to, and I believe Desmond made a point on this. I think it's just tough for kids, high school teenagers, to sit in front of a computer screen, for however many hours a day. And they're just cooped up in their own homes, just, kind of robotically doing this schoolwork. And like Desmond said, I think it would be cool if there was some type of, I appreciated the pep rally, the senior pep rally. Geez, that feels like forever ago now, but I think that was successful. It was outdoors. We were able to see people once again. And I think things like that, if more things like that, more events could be planned, just to kind of remind people, we're still a school, we're still a community. We're all in this together. I think that would be very effective. Thank you.
And then I wanted to talk about it. I don't think I could have had a better experience going virtually. And I think us doing it off the bat made it super easy because we're now in our routines. And I think we've kind of worked out, or at least personally, we've worked out the kinks in the system. My teachers have been more than understanding in everything. I mean, I work during the day, and I was able to talk to all my teachers and work things out, and everyone's just been really good through the entire experience, and I thank you guys for doing it off the bat, so we weren't like other school districts where they started off in person and now they're going back to online and they're having to figure it all out. I think it's really been helpful to be doing this all year, and I just thank you guys for doing that. And yeah, that's all we have for you guys.
Thank you for all of that information. That was a whole lot, and we'll take all of that under advisement. I really appreciate all that feedback and information about how the year is going and some of the things that are going on currently. So thank you all for that. And I know we have additional student speakers as well from the Climate Action Group.
We do. I'd like to just speak a little bit about our climate action team and give Lauren from Communitopia and Ellen a chance to introduce them, and I'm happy to introduce the students themselves and ask them to speak. Anyone that would like to. I will apologize for folks. We've been doing some muting and some controlling of individuals that seem to want to interrupt our amazing scholars. So I apologize if that makes unmuting yourselves a little bit more difficult. Please use the raise hand function, and folks that we recognize, we will make sure that you get a chance to speak. The Youth Climate Action Summit was an amazing event, and our scholars planned it, our scholars facilitated it, and our scholars implemented just a really great conference. I'm going to stop speaking because they can speak far better than I can, and I know that Ellen with the Green Building Alliance and perhaps Lauren from Communitopia would like to say just a little bit more about what all they've done. We do have with us tonight a few scholars that I want to name so that everybody knows them. Katie Green, Maddie Lockman, and Tierra Bush did a great job. And then you'll see on the agenda that Levi McGraw-Sapp, Nia Russell, and Dove Huey also played a huge part. Ellen or Lauren, would y'all like to speak? And then we can give the scholars a chance to speak if they'd like.
Take it away, Lauren.
Thank you, Mr. Wilson, and thank you for having us here tonight. I also want to acknowledge Margot Everhart, who is here tonight, who was our staff liaison between our partner organizations in Woodland Hills. She was integral to the success of the summit. We were able to attract a huge audience, and we had over 120 participants at the summit representing from different school districts, Pittsburgh Public, the Environmental Charter School, South Fayette School District. Help me out, Ellen, with the other one.
East Allegheny. We had students from, well, there was a lot of districts, everybody. We had almost 300 people register for the summit, 120 something at the peak, and it was really successful. Go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah, so we were able to have Summer Lee speak as our keynote speaker, and we had workshops with partner organizations around climate justice, environmental racism, clean air, and much more. So I'm going to stop talking, and I want to just give our students the floor to talk about their experience. So I think if I can, Mr. Wilson, pass it to Tierra, if she's unmuted.
Absolutely, we can unmute Tierra. 1 second, let me.
Sorry to put you on the spot, Tierra.
Thanks, love it. My experience with Lauren and Ella was really fun. I got to through Zoom. It was fun to entertain, and playing the whole summit. It was a really good time. I had a really good experience with them. The summit itself was it was fun. There were some challenges, like always. It's our first summit, so there was challenges, but it was a really interesting way of doing a summit. It was my first summit for a lot of us. So it was just exciting to see it all come together, and that I was able to be along with the planning and able to just see so many people coming, and even just even fourth graders came and were just like talking and really like interacting, participating in all the workshops and everything like that. So it was just really a beautiful thing, and yeah, I just love the whole experience.
Thanks, Tiara. And I'll pass it to Katie Green, if you wouldn't mind, Mr. Wilson.
Absolutely. 1 second. Let me find Katie Green. There she is. Katie, you should be able to click unmute now.
Great, thank you. Like Tiara said, I thought it was a really wonderful experience working with the other students over the summer and into the school year to plan the summit. And I think for our first summit, especially being online this year, it went really smoothly. And I appreciated all of the support we received from the students who showed up and from the school and the community in general. I'm excited to do it all again next year, except hopefully in person this time. What I have to say.
Great. Cross fingers. In person next year. It'll be so much fun.
And Maddie is here also. I think she's named Madeline.
Maddie, you should be able to unmute yourself as well.
I really like the experience, and I like that how the turnout went. Like everybody, there was a lot of people. There was like over 100 people that came to hear the host speak, and I really like that. I wish it could be in person next time, but overall, I really liked it because when we broke out in groups, I think everybody took away and learned something from that. So, yeah.
Great. Thanks, Maddie. I just want to reinforce all of the hard work that these students put into making this summit happen. I'm terrible with numbers, so let's see if I can pull it from my brain. But I think we spent over 50 hours planning this summit. You think it's just there's so much that goes into it, and the students were involved from the very beginning, whether I was choosing the theme or the keynote or the order, writing the script, and they all performed during the summit with so much poise and so much maturity. And I am so grateful that I was able to work with Woodland Hills students, and I'm so grateful that you invited us. And yeah, you think this year was great, next year is going to be even better. So really appreciate the support of Eddie and Dr. Woods and the planning as well. So it's been a privilege. Thank you so much for having us.
Mrs. Everhart, would you like to say anything?
I just want to reiterate that the students did a great job. It's really been over 2 years that they've been working on the climate action team. While the summit was a new thing, this team, as we all know, had the resolution go through the district. So this same group of kids has really been working hard over the last 2 years, and they're an incredible group of kids, and I'm very proud of them, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to work with both Ellen and Lauren on the summit, and they did a great job. Thank you.
Let's give these kids a round of applause. A little virtual applause. Yeah.
Thank you
Absolutely.
for inviting us. I'll turn it back over to you, Dr. Wilson.
Thank you, ma'am. I actually wanted to give Mr. Patterson a quick chance to let our scholars know just kind of what the board has done for them, if he'd like.
Good evening, yes. On behalf of the Woodland Hills Board of Directors, we will be presenting each member that participated in the Climate Action Summit a plaque for your hard work and dedication for this historic event.
Yeah. So congratulations, and thank you to everyone. Thank you to Mr. Patterson for leading the charge on recognizing the students. And thank you to Green Building Alliance, Communitopia, Ms. Everhart, for all the work that you put in to guide the students in this process. We're most grateful to the kids who are leading the way on this. And I think looking forward to the big things that are to come for the climate action team. So thank you all for that work. And for being here tonight, and thanks again to the first group of student speakers as well. We appreciate all of them taking the time out of their evening to be with us tonight. So thank you again. Okay. And that moves us to presentations, which is back to Mr. Wilson for discussion of our back to school updated survey.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ms. Glasser. Did want to really quickly, before I go through the survey data, mention to anyone that hasn't seen it yet that you can see the opening plenary session led by Dove and Levi and all of our amazing scholars, as well as Summer Lee's keynote on our website or the Communitopia website. That was a really inspiring session, so I highly recommend going and watching that. Wanted to share with the public and with the board our reopening survey data from the survey that we sent to parents. And I'm going to pull that up really quickly so that you can see my screen. Can everyone see the PowerPoint? Fantastic. So at the end of October, just before Halloween, we decided to send out a survey to all of our families and asked for them to let us know how they were feeling about the COVID-19 numbers and about the possibility of reopening. We understand that we made the decision very early on, earlier than most districts, to remain virtual to start the school year. And as you all know, we have a plan to reassess every 30 days, and every 30 days when we've reassessed so far, the numbers have not looked favorably upon reopening. But we wanted to make sure that we were doing right by families and that we were getting your feedback. So we put out this survey, and some of the data that we heard reinforced very much the decisions that Mr. Harris has made and that we've made as a board and as a district. We know that families are concerned. If you look at our this first slide, less than 21% of our families would be comfortable returning to school right now in a traditional setting. We had over 600 responses, and less than a quarter of our families would be comfortable returning in a normal environment. And if you bring that to a hybrid, a reduced capacity setting, then only 41% of our families would be comfortable. And so we know that less than half of our families would be comfortable returning even at a reduced capacity right now, which, as I said, definitely goes to help us know that our decision was the right decision. And then a bigger hurdle, or just as large of a hurdle for us, is going to be transportation. Whenever we do come back, our families let us know that they are very concerned about transportation. Even at only half capacity in a hybrid model, less than a third of our families said that they would be comfortable putting their child on one of our buses. And as a parent of 2 children in the district, I can say that I feel the same way. At full capacity, that number is less than 15%. Less than 15% of our families would be comfortable putting their child on a bus at full capacity right now. And we know from the survey that many of our families are going to choose to remain virtual for the rest of the year, regardless of when we come back or whether we come back in a hybrid format or any other format. We know that approximately 35 to 40% of our scholars are going to remain virtual for the rest of the year. And so we're doing everything in our power right now to work with the union and work with our educators and work with our school leaders to ensure that those scholars who are going to remain virtual for the rest of the year get the same high quality, rigorous education as the students that are going to be in person whenever we do go back. I included some additional comments. We'll post this PowerPoint on the website after tonight. I'm not going to read all the comments to you. There were 616 responses and well over 300 sets of comments. I wanted to list a few of these comments because they gave us our biggest takeaways. The biggest takeaway that we got from the survey is that our families are still worried about the numbers. The second biggest takeaway that we received, though, is that our families want stability and consistency, and that they are very worried about the idea of coming back and then having to reclose. We know that had we reopened, even in a hybrid setting, in the 10 weeks that we've been in school so far, at least 6 of them would have had one of our buildings closed down due to CDC guidelines around COVID-19. And so we want to respect families' wishes to give them the stability and the consistency that they wish for. I also included survey data from our staff survey that we gave back in June of last year. As we just wrapped up the extended closure, we are giving another staff survey as well as a student survey. Thank you, board members, for recommending a student survey that will go out at the end of this week. So we'll definitely compare these numbers at the end of this week to the numbers that we got back in July. But the numbers that we got back in July tell us the same story as what we hear from families. Our educators are worried right now, and they're worried about their own health, and they're worried about their comfortability with buildings full of schools. So half of our teachers are comfortable returning to school with students, and even at a reduced capacity, only 37% said that they were fully comfortable, either a 4 or a 5, with coming back to school. But they definitely want to teach, and they want our scholars in the building, and they want to be they want to do their jobs and to do them to the high level that they've always done them. So we're working very hard to make sure that our educators have the resources necessary to teach virtually at a high level of rigor, and that our scholars are learning at a high level, regardless of when we do decide to come back. So some key takeaways from educators, again, are that they are concerned about student engagement and participation in virtual instruction. That's something that we're still hearing from educators, and so one of the things that we're trying to do in professional development and in conversations with families and teachers and principals is to ensure that we're doing everything in our power to make sure that students are engaged and that students are participating. We know that many educators are concerned about their own health, and we want to honor that and make sure that our educators feel safe before we ask them to be in a building full of students. And then one of the other key takeaways is that educators are concerned about enforcing mask wearing policies, and that as a rule. And so we are working to make sure that we have worked with our social workers, our counselors, our principals, our RTI interventionists, and all of the staff in our buildings to ensure that wearing masks is a common theme across our buildings, regardless of how we come back and when we come back. And then lastly, educators want more training and exemplars for what high quality online instruction looks like. So that's been a major focus of all of our development. All of our PD this year has been focused around how they can be excellent educators, even virtually. So I don't want to be redundant, and I know that we are already at 7:45, but just to reiterate, the takeaways are that our staff and families are not yet comfortable to return to instruction in-person instruction, even at a reduced capacity, which bolsters the decisions that we've made as a district. We got a lot of great feedback from families that our educators are doing a great job in a virtual environment. Google Classroom has been a game changer for many of our families, and that ability to have face-to-face interaction with students and to treat it like a typical in-person classroom, even though it's online, has done a ton for families. And we know that we have to get students back in the building as soon as it's safe to do so. Right now, it's not safe to do so, but as soon as it is, we want kids to be back in the building. We want our scholars back face-to-face. And we're going to continue to focus every week, every day on getting our educators and our families the resources they need to be successful virtually for as long as we're having virtual instruction. That's our information.
Okay, are there questions for Mr. Wilson from the board? This is questions from the board. Okay, hearing none.
Mr. Muter, could you share your screen again? I'm sorry, I took that screen sharing from you. Thank you.
Okay. We will move on to registered speakers. I don't believe we have any this evening. Is that correct, Ms. Hawthorne?
No speakers.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Harris, board matters, please.
Okay, can you hear me okay? I'm dialed in now. I'm on my phone.
Yes.
Can you?
Yes.
Okay.
That is better. Thank you.
Okay. Board matters 2.1. We seek approval of resolution 554-20, authorizing the participation in and appointment of Michael A. Gigliotti as primary representative and Valerie Shaver, alternate representative to the Allegheny Intermediate Unit Joint Purchasing Program for the 2020-2021 school year. Are there any questions? Okay. Board matters 2.2. We seek permission to accept $4,500 in grants from the United Way. Are there any questions? I can go on. The United Way has awarded this grant to provide incentives for children reaching their attendance goals. The awards are allocated to the following: Edgewood STEAM Academy, $1,500; Turtle Creek STEAM Academy, $1,500; and the Wilkins Elementary STEAM Academy, $1,500. Are there any questions? Okay. Board matters 2.3. We seek permission to accept the Farm to School grant from the Department of Agriculture. The PA Farm to School grant would support having interactive Jump with Jill nutritional assemblies at the elementary level to help educate students and their families about the importance of choosing healthy, locally produced foods and increase awareness of Pennsylvania agriculture. The grant award is for $8,812 and will also have an in-kind donation worth $2,350 from Hess Brothers Apples, who have agreed to supply food products as an improved PA farm. Are there any questions? Okay, Board Matters 2.4. This is the second reading of revised policy 222, volume 1, tobacco and vaping products. The woven facts are attached. Are there any questions? Board Matters 2.5, second reading of revised policy 247, hazing. Are there any questions? Okay. 2.6, Board Matters, second reading of revised policy 249, bullying and cyberbullying. These are all part of the update Title IX policy that we approved. Okay. Board Matters 2.7, second reading of revised policy 252, dating violence. Are there any questions? Okay. Board Matters 2.8, second reading of revised policy 333, volume 1, tobacco and vaping products for employees. Are there any questions? Board Matters 2.9, second reading of revised policy 333, volume 4, professional development. Are there any questions? Okay, Board Matters 2.10, second reading of revised policy 626, federal fiscal compliance. Are there any questions? Okay. Board Matters 2.11, second reading of revised policy 707, volume 1, use of school facilities. Are there any questions? Board Matters 2.12, second reading of revised policy 709, volume 4, building security. Are there any questions? Okay,
Board Matters 2.13, second reading of revised policy 824, volume 4, maintaining professional adult student boundaries. Are there any questions? Okay, Board Matters 2.14, we seek approval to advertise for the salvage disposal of the C.E. Mackett and Company 9-inch 1960s era refracting telescope located at the high school. Are there any questions?
Can you give us a little bit of an explanation about what's going on here, Mr. Harris, so that there's so that it's out there?
Okay. There's a telescope in the observatory at the high school. No one knew we actually have an observatory and a telescope in the high school, and the telescope hasn't been used for years, and we're seeking to dispose of it. This gives us permission to salvage or dispose of it, but we're also looking at other options as maybe a memorial or a way to dispose of it, or the way to keep it in service somehow, maybe by making a statue or something out of it, or doing something. But this is just one option that will allow us to do something with that telescope.
Would it be safe to say that if there are people in the public who have ideas about what could be done with that, we invite and welcome that?
Yeah, we welcome any suggestion or idea. They can come check it out, and whatever they like to do with the memorial-wise, it will be fantastic somehow.
Okay. Other questions?
Okay. Board Matters 2.15. We seek permission to pay the invoice for Nicole Watson in the amount of $9,500 for services rendered to the Woodland Hills School District. I could give you some background on this. This was a program that was also done last year. It's being continued this year. It's an ongoing virtual success seminar. This is actually before we went virtual. That's done through the Media Center at the high school, where Ms. Watson works with the department to develop student programs, social media, consequences project, video production. She also brings in guest lecturers. This was a program started last year before the pandemic started, but it's a great program. They do some really good work, and once again, it's a great program, and it's still being continued this year. Okay, now we're moving into the other categories. Okay, so for the board and the public information, we're going to be changing how we deliver some of the agenda items moving forward. It was through various conversations, we wanted to get a deeper dive into some of the departments. So from now on, or here on out, each of the department heads will be presenting their category items. So first up is special education. So Pam?
Good evening, members of the board and the community. My name is Pamela Zackel, and I'm the Director of Special Education for the Woodland Hills School District. The Office of Special Education seeks approval for the renewal of Ames Web Plus benchmark and progress monitoring system. The Woodland Hills special education teachers began using Ames Web Plus during the 1920 school year, and the data derived from Ames Web Plus benchmarks assist special education teachers in developing meaningful ELA and mathematic goals. The Ames Web Plus materials and software also provide special education teachers with an effective way to monitor student progress and determine when interventions are necessary. Are there any questions?
Okay. Thank you, Pam. Okay, the next up is people personnel. Don?
Good evening. Sorry. I apologize. I'm working from two devices here this evening. Good evening, members of the board, administration, Woodland, the Director of Pupil Personnel Services for the Woodland Hills School District. I have agenda this evening that is actually item 5.1. The Pupil Personnel Department seeks approval to Pupil Personnel Department seeks approval to accept the agreement between Reaching New Dreams and Recognizing Talents in the Woodland Hills School District. Reaching Dreams and Recognizing will work with students virtually at Dixon Preparatory STEAM Academy and the Woodland Hills High School by emphasizing the value and importance of education while dealing with the effects of COVID-19. They will work with students to help them recognize their talents while overcoming whatever obstacles may be in front of them. Our NDRT will provide classroom and group meetings, one-on-one talks, speeches, and tutoring and those supports. So are there any questions?
Okay.
Thank
I
you.
don't think so. Thank you, Doug. Okay, next up, personnel. Angel?
Good evening, members of the board, administration, and the community. My name is Angel Boyd, and I'm the Human Resources Director for the Woodland Hills School District. Tonight, I'm requesting permission to approve Section B, authorization for retirement resignation, Section C, authorization to hire professional staff, Section D, authorization to hire non-professional staff, Section F, authorization for EDR mentor actions, and Section G, authorization for miscellaneous. Are there any questions? If there are questions, due to this matter being personnel, we would have to go into executive session in which to respond to those. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next up, technology. Steve?
Good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Muter, Technology Director for the district, and we are on 7.1. We are seeking approval to advertise a request for proposal for a secondary internet provider. Right now, we have our major internet provider is through a consortium through the Allegheny Intermediate Unit. If for any reason that internet service would go down, the district would be completely without internet. We've had this secondary service for the last 3 years, and the contract has expired, and we have to put out bids to choose another provider. It's also funded by E-Rate. So once approved by them, they will pay 90% of the costs. Any questions? Okay. 7.2. We seek approval to advertise for another request for proposal for fiber optic wide area network connections. Right now, we are using a company called DQE, and they are providing high-speed fiber optic connections between all of our buildings. And they all connect each other and come back to the high school as the central hub location. This was a 5-year lease. It also has to be bid. And again, if it's approved by E-Rate, they will pay 90% of the costs. And I'm proposing at least another 5-year lease agreement with the most economical provider. Any questions on that? All right. Well, thank you very much.
All right. Thanks, Steve. Okay, next up, buildings and grounds, Finney.
Bob, you should be able to unmute yourself. Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Good evening, board members, administration, and community. I'm Robert Finney, Director of Facilities. 10.1, we seek permission for disposal of surplus furniture from the high school. Locations, SA1, SA2, 82, room 86, room 120, room 126B, room 88, security office, nurse's office, 94A, 94C, 96, 98, 119, 117, and 118. New furniture has been ordered for these areas. Any questions? All right. Next item, 10.2. We seek permission to allow Ashiva Schools to purchase a electrically operated Nissan fold-up curtain with the bottom approximately 8 foot of solid vinyl with the upper portion of braided rope netting, 54 feet by 20 feet, and the key switch operating a clue lifting system motor for the cost of $1,500. And this would be from the old Rankin building. Some relevant facts: Nissan has not been manufactured the dividing curtain for quite some time. CM Ecolog Company came out, gave us a value of the fold-up curtain from Rankin. The value range was between $1,300 to $1,700. Any questions? Item number 3, 10.3. We seek approval for Bethlehem Wire and Fence to install a new safety gate at Turtle Creek Elementary STEAM Academy between the alley behind the school and Sycamore Street at the cost of $1,812. Fund 10 PCCD Security Enhancement Grant. And this is for the alternate bus pickup at Turtle Creek. This is a result of a meeting with Mr. Harris and Mr. Petrogallo, Turtle Creek, the police, fire council, and community members. Any questions? Item 10.4. We seek approval for Bethlehem Wire and Fence to install 2 safety gates at the intermediate school at the cost of $3,234 from Fund 32 and Fund 10 PCCD Security Enhancement Grant to provide safety for our property. Any questions? Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Bob. Okay, next up is athletics. Ron Corsi.
I am here. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. I'm the Director of Athletics for the Woodland Hills School District, and I just have one item of discussion for this evening. Item 11.1. We seek approval to accept a $5,000 donation from
Ron, you don't have the
sports management. In essence, one company of our field turf, as everybody is a William complex here at the high school. Can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes.
All right, sorry about that. I'm on my phone. I was just reading the statement, 11.1. We seek approval to accept a $5,000 donation from Performance Sports Management. Essentially, what this is Performance Sports Management is the parent company to Field Turf. As everybody is aware, we just renovated our soccer field stadium with new turf. 3 years ago, we did the Wolverina. And every year, typically, we start our football season, since I've been here with the district, with a football showcase. We call it Western Pennsylvania versus Everyone. They are typically a sponsor of that event. When we had to cancel the event this year due to COVID, Field Turf still said that they wanted to make a donation to the athletic department for purchase of equipment, purchase of supplies, purchase of any programs, or just gifts that we wanted to give to the kids. I suspect this is in relation to the fact that they are now going to be turning their attention to our baseball softball complex. And so essentially this is a donation from Field Turf as a in-kind donation essentially for whatever we choose to use in the athletic department. Is there any questions or any discussion at this time?
All right. Thanks, Ron.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, we have an item that needs to be voted on. It's for the library. It's 12.1. We seek approval of the November 11th agenda setting meeting of the CDBG concurring resolution. This needs to be voted on.
If it would be helpful, Mr. Harris, I can give a little bit of explanation for this. Dr. Coluccio is also on the line if that's necessary. As the board is aware, we are pursuing grant funding to support the renovations that are necessary to the Swissvale Library to make it accessible and bring it up to code. This is one piece of that grant puzzle. We are applying for community development block grant funding. This is federal money that flows through Allegheny County, and the application goes through Allegheny County. In order to make the application, there has to be a resolution that is that the board is permitting the application to be filed, essentially. This is not a grant that requires matching funds, so that there's no commitment being requested here, but we are applying for $250,000 in CBDG funding. So I'd be happy to take questions. And Dr. Coluccio, if there's anything that I missed on that front, please feel free to jump in. Also, Ms. Scott's been active in the conversation about this, so if there's anything that I missed, Ms. Scott, if you want to add anything.
I think that was great, Jamie. Happy to answer questions from other board members if anybody has any.
Mr. Wilson, Mike Gigliotti has his hand up.
Yep, I just unmuted him.
I just want to remind you that we do need to designate a school official or somebody to file the applications. It's incomplete as it sits, so we need to fill in it before we adopt this.
Yes, my sense of that would be that Mr. Wilson has been active on this and is the grant manager for most of our grants. That would be my suggestion. If the board is amenable and Mr. Wilson is willing to take on the task. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Gigliotti, for pointing that out. Other questions? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion?
So moved.
Mr. Belmont makes the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Lawson. Ms. Hawthorne, will you take the vote?
It's electronic.
It is an electronic vote. If anybody's not equipped to do that, please let us know.
I can't log in. Something's wrong with the authentication.
Okay.
All right. She's going to do a voice vote.
Okay, I'll do the voice vote.
Thank you.
Ms. Seligson?
Yes.
Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Ms. Lawson?
Yes.
Ms. Curry?
Yes.
Ms. Hodge?
Yes.
Mr. Patterson? Derek, what are you doing?
Yes.
Mr. Belmont?
Yes.
Ms. Glasser?
Yes. Okay. Thank you for that. That moves us to legal matters, Mr. Harris.
Okay, legal matters 13.1. We seek approval of the release settlement agreement with a student concerning special education claims. Such agreement in substantially the same form as provided to the board. Any questions? Okay, moving on to school finance with Mike or Val.
Hello, everyone. Mike Gigliotti, business manager. 14.1, we're seeking ratification for the bills paid after the October 21st meeting. Are there any questions? $14.2, we are seeking approval to pay the invoices listed on the November bill list. If anyone has any questions? $14.3, we are seeking approval for the fund reports for the general fund through the activity funds and the student activity reports presented for the board review for informational purposes. Are there any questions? $14.4, we seek approval of the investment reports for the month of October as listed. Are there any questions? $14.5, we seek approval of budget transfers for the month of November as listed. And the final financial is 14.6. We seek approval to open up a scholarship checking account with Pliget. We currently have the account with PNC, but with the interest rates where they are in the banking industry doing what they're doing, they are basically charging us a $3 a month minimum service fee. This money's been set aside for the students, and we can move this money to Pliget, and there will be no service fee. So it's our recommendation to do it. Does anyone have any questions? Thank you.
Okay, under Superintendent 15.1. I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Okay, under Superintendent 15.1, we seek permission to enter into agreement with Meyer Duzel Financial Services for internal financial reporting. To basically explain what this is, Meyer Duzel will assist the district in putting together key performance indicators in a reportable format that will be available to the board and the public so that we can have a greater transparency of our current financial situation. Are there any questions? Okay. That's all we have this evening.
Okay, thank you all for that. Thank you to the administrators for adapting to our new format. I appreciate your willingness to make that change, and we're looking forward to having that be the agenda meeting structure going forward, which I think will be very helpful to all of us. Okay, is there any old business? Okay, new business? Hearing none, that moves us to reports. If the board will indulge me, I'll just run through these myself tonight in the interest of time, unless someone has an objection to that and really wants to talk. Okay. At our committee meetings at the beginning of November, we had policy to discuss the policies that are on the agenda for the various readings this month. We had some conversation regarding special ed, although there were no agenda items for special ed. There was conversation around special ed and how that is going at this point in our school year. We also had conversation with Devontae Butler regarding the agreement with his organization that's on the agenda tonight. And for curriculum, we had a conversation with the teachers who are engaged in the STEAM rotation in our elementary schools about how we can improve that process, what we're seeing there, what's working and what's not, and the things that we might do in order to make that more effective and more impactful for the students who are involved. Also talked about the math assessments that are ongoing and when we can hope to have data from them as a way to understand where our students are and how they're progressing academically. And we talked a little bit about professional development that's upcoming, including the days in November and Ed Camp, which will be held in February. On the 4th of November, we had athletics. The bulk of that discussion was regarding the Peters Township situation and the incident that occurred there and what the district is doing to seek recompense and recourse regarding that matter. We also talked about winter sports restrictions and began a discussion, although I don't believe we concluded it, regarding our facilities and also out-of-state travel for some of the winter teams. We did not discuss, although it was on the agenda, roster sizes for fall sports. We expect to do that at the meeting on the 24th of this month. And then we had a very brief discussion, but we'll again follow up in coming months, or at the end of the month when we have additional facts and figures about potential upgrades to athletic facilities that might be in need of those, pending budget restrictions. During the technology committee meeting, Mr. Muter discussed the agenda items he has on for this month. Transportation continues to be a concern, particularly with regard to bus drivers. There was a job fair that had no attendance at all, which is quite a concern. We also discussed during the food service portion of that committee the new distribution model for meal kits. That'll be a twice-a-week model, 5 days on one distribution day, 2 days of food on the others. And those are in place now. Information on that is available on the website. We also have additional opportunities to bring in fruits and vegetables and to advertise. And there was some discussion regarding the climate action steps that we can take with regard to food waste and other items on nutrition with the Pittsburgh Food Policy Council. And I know that Ms. Nichols is also making outreach in other ways that we can help meet the need for food in our communities at this time. With regard to facilities, we had our normal monthly presentation from SiteLogic to update on the construction at the high school. We talked with Dr. Pert and her team about the learning garden that we're going to be moving, hopefully from the former intermediate school to the new Dixon Academy, so that the students can continue to make use of that asset. And we talked about climate control as well. And then finally, for finance, we talked about the joint purchasing agreement with the AIU and potential costs resulting from that contract, although we are not using fuel. We had a presentation, we talked about the Eastern Area Special Schools projects and potential costs associated with issues at the Sunrise Building in Monroeville, of which we are a part owner by virtue of our membership in the Eastern Area jointure. We talked about the method of payment for charter schools and the timeliness of that in an effort to avoid additional penalties or delays in getting those payments that can be problematic for the business office. We also talked a little bit preliminarily about the budget for the 21-22 school year and whether it makes sense to seek referendum exceptions. Mr. Gigliotti is of the opinion that it will not be beneficial to the district to do that, so has recommended to the board that we adopt a preliminary budget that would allow us to increase taxes should the board elect to do that. If it is necessary to do that, all those things are not yet determined, but if that is the case, only to the statutory index. In coming months, there will be a discussion of the pay for tax collectors and how that happens for the next 4-year term, which we have to set by early 2021. And finally, we had a presentation from Mark Dussel regarding their the services that they are offering to provide. That also is an agenda item for consideration next week. That was the reports from the committee. We also received this week a letter, and I had a request from a board member that we read it at this meeting. It was addressed to my attention, but also to the board as a whole, and it reads as follows. As former educators, my wife and I would like to express our appreciation for our grandson Henry Detour's classroom teacher, Ms. Belovic, and itinerant teachers, namely Ms. Endler, Ms. Miller, Mr. Surechin, Mr. Kotz, Mr. Mealy, Mrs. Stover, Mr. Brown, and Mrs. Sandrowski. Their personalized approaches to both educating and appreciating their students' work is indicative of their professionalism and genuine caring for their students. As experienced previously with Mrs. Bagwell and Mrs. Zanuck, we've noticed a pattern of communication between teachers and parents and guardians, which is so valuable. We congratulate you on the quality of these teachers in your district. Respectively submitted by Dr. and Mrs. Ernie Detour, was copied to Mrs. Livingston, and I can also say that each of the teachers that was mentioned in the letter was copied on the email that I received with that letter also. So wanted to share that correspondence. Are there any additional reports from board members? Ms. Seligson, anything from Forbes Road?
Nothing too exciting. It was business as usual. 15 minutes. We did first and second readings of some new policies, just about pupil personnel, employees, operations, and then we approved some of our bills. So it was very fast.
Okay. I can report from the IU. We continue to discuss, matters pertinent to employment and things of that nature. There, most importantly, the IU is embarking on a strategic planning process that I believe will engage a number of stakeholders and likely school, from our district as well as others. So I encourage everyone to keep an eye out for opportunities to participate in that process going forward. And finally, from the Eastern Area Jointure Sunrise School Committee, we covered a lot of this at committees, but for the benefit of the public, there continues to be conversation about how to address the leaking roof at that facility. To remind everyone, there was a repair made to the roof, a recoating of the roof that was supposed to have been warranted and all those things. However, the roof is failing and is in need of either replacement or remediation in relatively short order. So with our 7 partner districts involved in that jointure, we're talking through how to move that forward and how to address the costs associated with it. So we'll continue to have conversation about that, and I'll do my best to keep all of you informed. As always, if there are questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And if I'm unclear on anything, please feel free to contact me. Anyone else have reports? Okay. Hearing none, that moves us to public comment. Reminder to the public that you should use the raise hand function if you wish to speak, in order to alert us to that desire. Public comment is limited to 2 minutes. If you wish to speak, please raise your hand. And when you begin your remarks, please do share your name and place of residence and affiliation with the district. Is there anyone who wishes to speak at this time? Dr. Coluccio.
Hi, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Mr. Harris and Mr. Petrogallo for Mr. Petrogallo's assistance today with a very difficult patron situation at the Swiss Vale Library.
Thank you, Dr. Coluccio. Appreciate that. I'm sorry to hear there was an incident, but I'm glad that there was a response. And that,
perfect.
Excellent. Okay. Anyone else who wishes to speak? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Harris, Section 20, adjournment.
Okay, we seek adjournment of the November 11th agenda setting meeting.
Is there a motion? Okay, moved by Ms. Seligson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Scott. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? All right. Thank you all. We will see you next week.
Take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Stay safe.